I've asked a question which has not been answered to date. That how can 10 to 15 white men sit on a table and make an agreement which 54 presidents and leaders cannot undo? What is it that such a small group of united Europeans can take a ruler and cut your continent to pieces? Here we are 63 years later, talking about the Africa Union and Kwame Nkrumah's vision, Kambarage's vision, Kenneth Kaunda's have come and gone, Banda's have come and gone, Mugabe's have come and gone. And what makes it so sad is that during the liberation struggle, Tanzania becomes a home base for all of them. ANC, SWAPO, ZANU-PF, Frelimo, all of them, they were in the same camp. They all were agreeing as comrades, let's go back and liberate our countries. But immediately all of them go back to their countries. They've become enemies of each other. So are we only friends at war and we're enemies at peace? And if we can fail, therefore, as African governments in this deja vu of what we lost, over and above the culture that Chinua Achebe can echo, now we're talking about the loss of even the unity. That became the fuel of our own independence.
But King, let's trace it. In 1963, in Addis Ababa, the question of undoing Berlin was a live issue. And if you look at the early debates, there are those who said, let us undo the boundaries. And then it was examined, and they argued that if we started undoing the boundaries, there would be great conflict because the neo-colonizer is still with us. The same was revisited in Cairo in 1964, hosted by Gamal Abdel Nasser. And the key voices at that time were Nyerere and Nkrumah. Nkrumah believed that these boundaries were temporary because Africa was going to unite anyway. So his argument was, well, these are only going to be boundaries for purposes of administration. And the doctrine of inviolability of inherited boundaries was then drilled down. Little did he know that these were the things that were going to be gridlock and paddocks that would hold us together. So in 1965, when he convenes a meeting in Accra, he himself takes the view, and Nyerere speaks about it on 6th of March 1997. He says that they thought that they would come out of that meeting saying there is a United States of Africa. But the neo-colonizer was thinking differently, and a year later Nkrumah is overthrown. But Nkrumah said something that answers your question. He said that it will be easy to do away with the colonizer as the political leader. We may even solve our economic problem, but there is something that happened to our minds. And that is going to take a little longer to deal with. And he was echoing a statement that had been made in 1933 by an African-American, Carter G. Woodson, the miseducation of the Negro.
African.
And Ngugi wa Thiong'o later writes about it in terms of decolonizing the mind. And I
Brilliant book, by the way.
Yes, indeed.
And I think while you're on that,
yes,
it should be illegal for anyone who wants to start talking Pan-Africanism, for example, who has not gone through 2 or 3 of those books that you have mentioned. How the African,
how Europe
civilized the world. There's one also how the African civilized Europe and how Europe, uncivilized Africa, so to speak. And the Chinua Achebe, great work, Things Fall Apart, and Decolonization of the Mind by Ngugi, and Steve Biko also, I Write What I Like.
I think, yes.
And I think if you can put a nice little catalog.
And Anta Cheikh Diop.
Yes,
Anta Cheikh Diop. Really, those must be compulsory readings and to remove, there is also, and there is no harm in that, but there is too much romanticization of Pan-Africanism without looking at the practical Pan-Africanism. So I think what those books do is to drill down. There is another one that I would want to put on the list. This is Adeke Adebayo, Africa After the Cold War, The Curse of Berlin.
But for the lighter readers, of course, the economic hitman.
Yes.
Then you begin to have a pit